If you're like me and you got stuck trying to learn Julia, then this is the video for you. I'm going to go through some of the free ways to learn programming in Julia and some of the great alternatives that are out there to reading the manual. So when I first started in Julia, I ran into quite a few problems. Check out my last video on how to make functions, how to put functions into Jupyter. I put the wrong type of function in. I put the wrong type of argument into the map function, and it didn't work. It got me stuck for about 15 minutes. So hopefully by sharing some of these resources with you, it helps you avoid the same mistakes that I did. So the first most obvious place to go to learn Julia is the Julia manual. But when I opened this, I felt it was a bit boring. It contains lots of great information. It's great reference material. It seems to be very comprehensive, but it just wasn't an interesting read. So my first number one place to go to learn Julia now is instead this guy's blog. So it's called Techie Talk. He's you can see he's a theoretical physics student at the University of Turin, and he's written this series of blog posts called From Zero to Julia, and it was just by far the best, most interesting resource I found. So I'll include a link below. In fact, I'll include all the links below for the various courses that I've selected today. In fact, I'll include all the links below for all the courses that I'm and resources that I'm looking at in this video today. So feel free to check that out. Like I said, the blog name is Techie Talk. He's written this series From Zero to Julia that's just incredibly comprehensive, easy to follow along. You can see it on the left-hand side here. He goes through pretty much similar things to what I've gone through as a video series. You can check out my videos before. If you hit subscribe, YouTube will suggest them to you, or there should be links suggested on the side to some of my videos. Feel free to check out my channel. But this guy's done an excellent job of putting together how to get Julia installed, different aspects of Julia that you'd be looking at when you're getting started, and then moving on to some advanced topics. So it's in fact actually very similar to the video series that I've been doing. I'm new to Julia myself. I've got quite an extensive programming background. My name's Chris, by the way. I've got quite an extensive programming background. I'm picking up Julia to get more into the data analytics side of it. I see a great opportunity in data analytics using Julia. So that's what this channel is about, getting useful Julia programming done, working towards some data and analytics. So on the left-hand side, he goes through how to install Juno and Atom, how to work together with variables, types, functions. And he goes into some very advanced topics as well, such as, what was it, the one I saw? Numerical integration, down here, parallel computing, multiprocessing. So if you're looking to get some performance out of Julia, this could be a good place to start. It's a good place to start because it will take you to the advanced lesson. But unfortunately, one thing he doesn't cover is examples. So that's my next. Actually, I had this good Julia by example here that shows you how to code in Julia with some examples of it. But better still is this site suggested by the Julia language, which is Exercism, a bunch of exercises put together. Now, it looked quite. I was quite confused when I saw this to begin with. I didn't know what it was talking about. It wanted me to join the Julia track, not the sort of thing I'm interested in. I want to keep it simple, quick, and I want to focus on learning Julia. I don't want to sign up for something. I don't want to join the Julia track, whatever that is. I haven't used Exercism before. That's EXERCISM, as in exercise. But I did find that if you scroll down on the Julia page, you can jump straight to these community-sourced examples. So if you click community-sourced Julia exercises, click all the exercises here, it gives you some exercises that you could try out for Julia. Now, there was a disappointing thing. Let's pick this darts one, for example. There was something disappointing when you open up the exercise. So it has a few solutions to the exercises. Let's just click the first one here. Unfortunately, it shows you the solution first, but if you click on instructions, then it goes through the instructions. So it is a real self-learning activity because you are kind of showing the solution first, but I find exercises, examples, actually solving a problem with a programming language is the best way to learn it. So if you manage to click through all of that to find the instructions, then this is the best resource I found for once you get the basics of Julia from that Zero to Julia blog. then coming through and doing these exercises is a really good way to practice and to get familiar with the language. So I found this one quite useful. So I also had another exercise here, Bob. So clicked on the exercise, clicked on the instructions, and if you can implement all of this code, it gives you the test suite as well to go through. Part of learning Julia is to execute this test suite. Okay. The next one I found is this great cheat sheet. If you're coming from a MATLAB background or a Python background, this cheat sheet will convert for you some of the syntax. So Julia syntax is quite MATLAB-like, so if you come from the MATLAB background, you'll find a lot of similarities. It is a bit different to Python because a lot of the conveniences of Julia are just built into the language. There's no need to use external libraries like NumPy. So it goes through here some of the equivalents. So take, for example, you want to build a diagonal matrix of 1, 2, and 3. It's quite easy in Julia, just diagonal compared to np.diag in Python. So it goes, I'll do this on the screen, MATLAB, Python, Julia on the right. And so that's a nice little cheat sheet there. Then following that, the next one I found was this Julia Academy. So it does say it's free, but like I said earlier, I'm not keen to enroll in something. I don't want to sign up to your website just to learn the programming language. So yes, there's a full course here. It seems very comprehensive. This woman seems very nice. It's a free course, so it looks like she's donated her time to putting this together. So very appreciative, but it's not something I'd look to sign up for myself. But it does cover some, if you're interested in, say, neural nets, having a course there looks like something that could be really interesting. Clicking on the course though, I have to enroll to get in. So I might come back to this one if I've exhausted all the examples that we looked at earlier, all those exercises, because I still feel that's the best way to do it. Although I should say an even better way is to come up with your own problem and then solve it in Julia. So for example, the first problem I solved in this language was how to build a web dashboard. Feel free to check out my channel for how I built that web dashboard using Julia. And that was the first example of how I put something together in Julia and how I learned the language. I've also looked at doing some things like plotting or plotting in Jupyter or getting production-ready plots for publication papers. Production-ready plots for publication papers. Bit of a tongue twister. But check out that video if you're interested in some of the examples I've been using to learn Julia. So I'm just getting started myself. I've still got a long way to go. So next down on the chain, I've looked at some of the books that are available. So these are ebooks that are available on the internet to learn Julia with. When it loads, you'll be able to see a bit better. I found this one, the Julia Express, to be quite an interesting read, actually. The author's clearly passionate about programming in Julia, and that comes through in his text. So if you're looking for a good book to read, I'd recommend this one, Julia Express. It's only 18 pages long, but it does go through some interesting points about Julia and get you familiar with the language. Another good book I found was this from I think it's University of Pennsylvania, UPenn. And I'm not a fan of the LaTeX. They've obviously written this in LaTeX. I'm not a fan of the LaTeX stylings. It feels like a research paper. However, that said, it does go through quite comprehensively how to get started with Julia. While I preferred the blog, this does look like an interesting explanation of how to get started. Another resource that I found was this. It's a book about Julia and operations research, Julia programming for operations research, written by this, I assume he's a Korean bloke. The first chapter really looks at getting Julia ready, and then he goes on to some of the things that are more operations research. And those could be interesting to put together, particularly if you're interested in OR, but if you're not, then this isn't the right solution for you. If you're interested in Julia and OR, this book seems perfect. And finally, the last free resource I found to learn Julia was this Julia Bloggers. It was a bit hard to navigate, but it does give you some articles about implementing things in Julia. So it seems to be a collection of blog posts about Julia, though I didn't find it nearly as easy to navigate or use than the other resources. So those are the top resources I found that are available for learning Julia for free. You can, of course, enroll in some university course, or I actually didn't find any myself because I was only looking for free ones. I don't believe so much in paying to learn a language. I prefer to read books or experiment on my own, particularly as I come from a computer science background. So I already studied what goes on in computing, and I'd probably recommend that instead if you're looking to learn about programming languages in general, and then you can pick up a book to learn Julia as a specific language or dialect itself. So it depends on what sort of thing you want to get out of it. Clearly, say if you're into operations research, then this is a good resource, for example. So please let me know in the comments below if you have any other good free resources that you've used to learn Julia. Please let me know if I've missed anything off this list. I'll be happy to do another one in the future. So hit subscribe, and I can put together another video on some of the great free resources out there for learning Julia. So hit subscribe, and I'll see you in that video.